start speaking.
Our children have often asked us about our family trees. We thought we ought to try and make a film with a script. Most of our ancestors are no longer with us, so we've had to rely on photographs. So here goes. I am Gwendolyn Mary Scott, born in 1938, wife of Peter George Linnington Scott, mother of 4, Stephen, Victoria, Adam and Charlotte, mother-in-law to Tracy, Andy, Jane and Will, and grandmother to Tim, Alex, Theo, Henry, Alice, Edward and Katie. And the oldest record I have is this sampler, made by, I think, my great-grandmother. Imagine doing this by candlelight or oil lamp. Well, you can stop filming it now.
Yeah, I'm just leaving it over time bit in case when you do it again, you want to add more.
This is a photograph of Mary Ellen Hampson. She's holding a baby. I understand that it's not my father, it was a neighbour's child. She married Moses Hampson.
Hang on, let's start again. Go.
She married Moses Hampson and they lived in Hood's Yard in Ashbourne. Think scenes from Dickens. He was a bricklayer and as a young man had helped build Nestle's new factory. Then they moved to 33 Station Street, Ashbourne, a slum, no hot water, outside WC, shared with 3 houses.
Off you go.
Sidney Hampson, my father, was born in 1906 and died in 1978. His mother died in the Great War flu epidemic and his father died early in the 1920s, so Sidney was really an orphan by his late teens. He then moved in and had his meals at his Uncle Stephen and Aunt Rose, who was Moses' sister, who lived 2 doors away. And here he is in his sailor suit. This is a photograph of a church outing. I think it might have been one of the primitive Methodist groups' Sunday school outing, and my father can be seen, a little lad in his sailor suit, right on the front row scowling at the camera, and I think it's his mother who's on the second row at the far left, wearing a gay hat with a feather, I think, on the top.
Right.
Go. Sidney passed the scholarship for the grammar school, but his parents could not afford the uniform. So he left school at 14 and started an apprenticeship at Holbrook's cycle shop in Compton in Ashbourne. And they also ran a little sweet shop next door.
Right.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
You just film things. Because they're all out of order now.
Well, you need to say something so we can recognise what position it is. Well, this is your mum and dad.
Where did I get up to? The thing, wait a minute, Compton motorcycle. Have I said this already? No, I haven't. He met Dorothy Gwendolyn Tucker at a local farm. He was taking cream and milk to make ice cream for Holbrooks, and she was a live-in servant at the farm. And then I go on to say that about Dorothy Bourne.
Right.
Dorothy was born in Weston-super-Mare, Somerset, in 1911 and died in 1989. She had 2 brothers, Fred and Cecil. Dorothy's mother, Edith Emily Tucker, whose picture this is, died when my mother was 3. Her 2 brothers were taken in by her aunt, William's sister, but Dorothy was looked after by a series of foster parents. Now I want to move on to that one on the ground.
Right.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
In 1921 or thereabouts, William Tucker, whose photograph this is, moved himself, the 2 boys and my mother up to Ashbourne. I guess he had met a woman on holiday down in Weston and married her, and they all lived together for a while at Cockayne Avenue, a new council house in Ashbourne. My unhappy mother moved out to live in a farm, to live on a farm where she met my dad. William's second wife died in the late 1920s.
Can we do that again? I jerked the camera in the middle of it all.
In 1921 or thereabouts, William Tucker, my grandfather, whose picture this is, moved himself, the two boys and my mother up to Ashbourne. I guess he had met a woman on holiday down in Weston and married her, and they all lived together for a while at Cockayne Avenue, in a new council house. My unhappy mother moved out to live on a farm where she met my dad. William's second wife died in the late 1920s.
Okay.
This is the marriage of Peter George Linnington Scott and Gwendolyn Mary Hampson on Saturday, July the 18th, 1959, at St Giles Church at Sunny Hill in Derby. As from the left, Peter's mother and his father, the best man, Adrian Reeves, the happy couple, my father and my mother.
Are you far away?
This is a photograph of our four children, starting from the left: Stephen Bruce John, Victoria Helen Louise, Charlotte Mary Ann, and Adam Sebastian James. And all three of them are hanging on to their little sister for grim death. It's a lovely picture. There. That's it for the wall stuff.
The plaque to go up, and secondly I want to thank Nelstrops and John for putting the plaque up. And of course Nelstrops are quite an important part of this whole canal system when it started in Cole and the flour came in. So as far as we're concerned, Nelstrops are the tops, and that's an in-joke. Have you heard of Tops Flour? Yeah. You've heard of Tops Flour, you're the Tops Flour. There we are. So that's it, so it's down to you, sir, to open the...
to be here, and thank you very much, because it's really good that we can preserve our heritage, and it's really good that the canals will be remembered, because children in the future need to understand how goods were transported. I think we said the same at Marple Canal, and I do hope that it comes to fruition that we have the canal basin at Bronson Mill. I know it's the hard work of Margaret and David who've got the funding together to start this project off, and hopefully you will be able to get the canal to come through, and you will be able to have schools around Reading. Like I said, it's really important. So I'm really glad that we're protecting our heritage, and it's good to see that somebody has got the foresight to try and link us up with the Huddersfield Canal, and maybe then through to the Leeds Canal, the Leeds Liverpool Canal. But it'd be really good to have the canal network. I was on the Poynton Canal a few weeks ago, and it's really interesting that how far you can get on the Poynton Canal down to Watford, down to London eventually. You've got to sail on the Thames. I don't know whether the fancy barge on the Thames. That's how far you can go. And it'd be really good if we could connect the Yorkshire and go through the tunnels, crossing down the locks. So, without further ado, we're going to declare the flag.
Show now. Yes, you go and show Mr. Mayor what we've done, what you've done.
Wait for the ribbon to pull.
Right, it's great to be here again. Having just opened the other one, I'm going to open this one now. But just before I do, I think that Peter and Gwen deserve a big thanks for sponsoring this plaque. It's really good, and it's there for posterity, and it really is a nice plaque. And I'm really glad that I've been invited to do this, because, as I said before, heritage is quite close to my heart, especially in Stockport. And the canals as well, basically. I grew up with the canals, as a lot of people did when I was younger. Even though we might have been fishing them, but I certainly grew up with them. And a few of my mates used to swim them, and I never ventured that far. But anyway, I'm just going to officially open this one as well, this plaque. Here we go.
Well done.
Hey!
Is it 9 in all?
9 in all.
Oh, 9 in all.
Yeah.
Right. I know that 4 of them are going to be in Manchester, so
Yeah,
there'll be nothing
yeah.
to do with the Stockport
Yeah.
people, unfortunately. But,
This is
I know it's
lovely.
Stockport people who are raising the funding for it.
Yeah.
So
We are.
I hope they do mention on them plaques that they come from Stockport.
I was in Manchester this week, just for the day, and he had some time to spare before the train, so he walked past the
It has so many little bits. In the spring it's all full of bulbs, so that's nice. Whether they'll stay, I don't know. Some seeds I planted haven't come up at all. I've got a lot of cow wheat in there now, which is supposed to, yellow rattle, which is supposed to stop the grasses growing too much.
So which is yellow rattle? Is it the yellow one?
No, that's Bird's trefoil. Fussy. It will only do the roots of certain grasses, and other grasses it doesn't like. It's an incredible symbiosis of growing, of stuff coming up now.
Knapweed.
In the spring I had quite a few fritillaries and I planted loads of little alliums. They're the only ones that came up. I literally got 50 in here, but they obviously didn't like the soil or something. Clover's been better this year.
I've never seen alliums looking like that.
Oh yes, that lavender's been superb. Absolutely superb. And the rose, somebody gave me the rose when I moved because the garden was just a wilderness when we came.
The rose is James Galway.
And what's the tall? But I need to tie
Hardy
the roses
fuchsia.
back 'cause this is the prevailing wind and they pulls everything against the wall. Bodniaris or Bodniensis or something. Yeah. That grows itself. Those lovely little orange, purpley things, I always forget what you call it apart in the middle, so I'll have to cut it out at some time. And that's a funny thing, but I quite like it now. Didn't like it at all at first.
What is it?
Spirea, some sort. Yeah. But it needs a good old chop down.
Little seeds on that one.
Yes, so that should be in a big space. I don't like it very much. It's Cicerovidian. And I like the buttery yellow flowers and the little bobbly seeds.
Yes.
And this year I found a whole lot of this cosmos, which is, no, not cosmos, it's called Lucifer. And I found them dotted about the back garden, so I gathered them all up and stuck them in there, and they're just right, aren't they?
Mm.
That's the same family, the magenta colour.
Yeah.
But I do like a bit of silver in the garden. I just pull and chop and... It was really unusual. It had big splashy leaves, just died one winter of the cold, and then I read up it was just dodgy. You know, it was on the edge of survival. A few years before that, Gracie said, I don't mind, perhaps it'll encourage me to keep going, and it didn't bloom while he was alive, and this year I had about 20 blooms on it. So I sat here and thought about it, and I thought, oh, you'd be pleased that it has bloomed at last, because I was a bit sceptical about it.
Yeah, she likes architectural forms.
Yes, I do.
Well, that's evident here, isn't it?
Because this bit I can't really grow flowers in much because it's got such funny light
Yes.
levels, so I just grow things that look quite interesting against each other a bit. So it does remind me of them quite a bit. Yes, I can never remember the name of that. It has a little flower like a blue. I never quite know what to do with that long bed. And it was supposed to have very tall things in it, but they haven't really materialised. And I love the shapes, and this is a really very nice
Love and
geranium,
mist.
but it doesn't last long. That's what I thought I'd do.
And they're the ones that are not geraniums,
Sweet
are they?
Williams.
Sweet
Yeah.
Williams.
These are nice, but they're awfully messy and cloudy and floppity, which is quite nice if you want them like that, but if you want something with a bit more structure, they do take over a bit. I've got a farmer friend, and he's quite elderly now, and he's got a huge shed full of junk. Oh, I'd love some of it for the garden. He's ever so mean. So when I asked him if he could give me something, he'd give me sort of one pickaxe handle or something. But he's got an old, very rusty petrol pump that must be, I don't know, donkeys years old. And I just love it in here. It's got little bits sticking out of it, you know. And I keep saying, well, petrol pump. No, he says, I'm not giving you that petrol pump. And I don't know what he wants it for. It's, you know, just got junk everywhere. But it would be so nice. It would look really good just there. Yes.
Cortinus.
I used to put seed in her hands and I used to get robins coming down, but because for my garden, I thought, why does this garden look a bit odd? And I got some bright orange little fox and hounds in there, and I got something else, and the colour was wrong. And I pulled them out, and it suddenly all came together, because it just was clashing with itself. And I don't really think about that too much, but that does go well. That's a nice harmony. It's not good.
And there we are poking about, and we go early. So and even when the lights are fully up.
Right.
Anyway, we saw two films. We saw 4 from the Hunting Crowds.
This is an evening primrose. They pop up all over the place, apparently, in this garden.
This is the Maundy Arms, presumably named after a local family, and it's in Kirk Langley, and it's on the Ashbourne to Derby Road. Sign outside Brailsford, which is about halfway between Ashbourne and Derby. This is Ashbourne, and that's the River Henmore, known as Hellaby's Bridge, because the chap called Hellaby had a bike shop there. This is looking down Compton, or looking up rather, to the Derby Road. There's the traffic lights at the bottom there. And there's Station Street, and May Taylor, who's the local baker. I lived at these cottages, which weren't like that then. You can imagine the slum. That's the house that I lived in. There's the lane at the back, which doesn't look like the lane as I remember it. It's much narrower and rougher. Railway station's been knocked down, and a swimming pool has been built instead, and there's the police station, and there's St Oswald's Church spire. It's christened. And this is Church Street. You can see Elizabethan architecture at one end, and beautiful Georgian houses around here. A.L. Hume, local fishmongers, and blimey, they're still going. And he's selling quail's eggs. I've never seen a quail's egg before. That's the Shambles, or the butchery. Then over to the marketplace. And this is where then Prince Charlie did a turnaround and went back to Scotland again. There's the marketplace, looking a bit damp and dreary.
1945.
I think the flags are out for the Queen's birthday, I'm not sure. This is the Ashbourne estate. There's a nursing home known as The Home. That's where I was born. And these are the council houses. I didn't realise it was such a big estate. I only thought it was about. And this is the grammar school. I went there when I was 11. And there's scholarship in those days. And I went there from the age of 11 till 18. And last year travelling backwards and forwards on the school bus. Before that, living in Ashbourne and walking there every day. It's had lots of extensions. The field on the right hand side, you can't see it properly, there's a field where we used to go sledging in the winter. People who had sledges took them on the school bus, and we sat on them and
Houses near the grammar school.
had a great old time.
Here's the other. Still King Street.
These are the houses that are on the back of the school. Quite well built, very well built in fact. And from this road, little channels, ginnels and entries ran down to the main road. This is Wigman Lane. There was a farm there, and my mother worked there as a young girl before she married her dad.
Windmill Lane, where Graham.
And that's the road to the Peak District.
A515 looking south.
Maybe you can go around again. I've got a famous red coat. You can see there's problems with traffic. Just as there is here.
This is where
It used to be the workhouse was here, now it's been knocked down and luxury houses built. It's the churchyard, the Ashbourne churchyard. Full up, that's why they had to open the cemetery. That's the school I went to, primary school, St Oswald's. Lots of almshouses and various stages along High Street. There's a picture coming up soon of Dr. Hollick's house. Yes, his is the last of the Elizabethan type buildings. Here's the family doctor. Here's me trying to break into the cemetery. The gate was stiff. I tried to look for my grandparents, but Grand had all sunk away.
Green Lane.
This was my step-grandmother's house. It's now,
Lived here.
I understand, a
having breakfast. I can hardly believe it.
And the A52 at the end of the road.
It's Green Lane. This is a village outside Ashbourne called Elliston. We stopped here for a cup of tea. This is back again at Ashbourne. And this is the back garden to Station Street. And there are those roads. That's called North Lees Lane, Lees Alley Wise. And the garden is much bigger, as I recall. Stretch rooms right across to the other side. And there's the steps going up into the fields at the back of the houses. And they used to see coal bags on their back, taking them coal bags up to those houses. This is Tissington, the village outside Ashbourne, between Ashbourne and Hartington. Look at the spread there. I believe it's all owned by the Cavendish family. Beautiful houses, lots of them now as holiday cottages. Were farmhouses. Some are still farmhouses, I suppose. This is a typical Peak District. The shops. And this is Hartington. And there's the River Dove. Well, it's a pond in fact. And this place I still refer to as Woolpits, although it's in the same place that Woolpits was, but it doesn't look like it. It looks as if it's been completely knocked down and refurbished. And it's where my friend Anne and her family used to live, and I used to go there and stay with them during the year. Very enjoyable. Now known as New Croft. And there's the lane at the side. I do remember that.
Hartington.
This is a shot of Derby, Nevinson Avenue, where I lived for a year, or perhaps 2 years before I got married. And it looks just like it did then. There's hardly any alterations, probably been modernised on the inside.